Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Jordyn and welcome to the Jan-uary Book Tag. This is the second year I've done this tag video. It was created by Jan over at her channel, Jan Agaton. If you for some reason do not already follow her, I will link her channel below. Please go check her out, especially if you like dark, spooky books and things. She reads a lot of that. Her channel is just an entire vibe and she is a very sweet person. So please check her out if you do not know of her already. But she created this tag video last year that is meant to be done in January to just kind of reflect on the last year, plan for the year ahead. Some of the questions are going to be similar to things that I've talked about before, like in my 2022 goal reflection and 2023 goal video. I've also done an anticipated book release video for Q1 of 2023. So if I've already talked at length about any of these things, I will reference those videos and link them below so you can go check those out if you want more details. But I do think this is a very fun tag video, just again to reflect, to refresh in January for a new year and start the year out strong. So let's go ahead and get into the questions. Also, I will have all of these questions listed below. So if you would like to do this tag video, go ahead and consider yourself tagged. Make sure to tag me in your description so I can find it and watch it, as well as tagging Jan, because I know she likes to watch everyone who does this video. Alrighty, question number one. What were the first and last books you read last year? I am going to have to go ahead and reference Goodreads for this. I know the last book I read, but the first book I read, oh yeah, was Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. This is a book about two men, grown men, who both had sons, and those sons were married to each other, and then they were both tragically killed. The assumption is it was some kind of LGBTQ hate crime. And then these dads who had their own not so great beliefs about their sons' lives, they kind of band together to get justice for their sons. This book was intense and emotional. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, so it was a great way to start off the new year. And then the very last book that I read last year was Apple Cider Slaying by Julie Ann Lindsay. This is a cozy mystery book that I was reading for the Cozy Hollow Book Club, which is a book club here on YouTube run by a few of my friends, where they read cozy mysteries. I'm starting to realize cozy mysteries are not really my thing. I gave this one 3 stars. It was fun and cute, but it wasn't my favorite thing of all time. It was a good book to read in the winter time and around the holiday season. And it was fun to discuss with my friends in that book club on their live show, but again, a 3-star read. Question number 2 is, what is your first read of this year? I have already read several books this year because we're already a couple weeks into January, but the first book that I did read was Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson. This is a historical fiction book about 2 siblings who are grown adults and their mother passes away, and they meet with their mother's lawyer to talk about what she has passed on to them. And it turns out that their mother had this whole other life that her kids never knew about. So they learn a ton about their mother's history and how it impacts their life and goes from there. I did really enjoy this book and gave it 4 stars. So again, it was a great way to kick off a new year of reading. And I did feature this book in a Book of the Month reading vlog that's already been posted. So I will link to that if you would like to watch it and hear more of my thoughts reading that book. Question number 3, share 3 of your reading goals this year. So I did do an entire goals video where I reflected on my goals from 2022 to see if I met them, and then set some goals for 2023. So my major goals this year are 1, to read 100 books. Last year I read 175, so I know that I will probably meet that goal easily, but I like to set a relatively attainable number for myself. I also want to post 100 videos to my channel, which is not directly reading related, but reading adjacent, because obviously this is a book channel. And then another goal that I have added since filming that video, but that I have talked about before, like in my January TBR video, is that I want to complete 1 workout this year for every book that I read. Which to some of you might sound silly, but for me, who definitely goes in waves with my exercise motivation, it actually has been really helpful to tie exercise and reading together and know that if I'm reading a lot of books, then that means I have time to keep up with a workout routine. So again, not directly reading related, but reading adjacent. Question number 4 is, share 3 of your most anticipated titles. There are so many. I did make a video again with my Q1 most anticipated releases. So the one that I'm most excited about is called The Jump by Brittany Morris. This author has written 2 previous books that I've given both 5 stars. So I'm hoping that this 3rd book keeps up that trend. She writes young adult sci-fi books. And this one is about a group of teens that enters a cryptology competition, which is like code breaking and puzzle solving, which sounds so far up my alley. And this is set to release on March 7th. Then my next most anticipated release is probably The Last Word by Taylor Adams. This is the author of No Exit, which is a super popular thriller that I also loved, and Hairpin Bridge, which people did not love as much, but I actually still found really fun. And this one is a thriller about an author who like gets a bad review and then seeks out that reviewer and stalks her and something like that. So that just sounds really interesting to me, and I think it will be a really good book. It looks like this book is set to come out in April. And then, oh man, I'm looking at my anticipated releases list on Goodreads, and there are just so many good ones that are gonna be coming out. My third most anticipated book coming out that I am excited for is Symphony of Secrets by Brendan Slocum. This is the author of The Violin Conspiracy, which was my #2 favorite book of all of 2022. So I'm just super excited for his follow-up, set to come out in April. Don't know anything about what it's about, but because I loved The Violin Conspiracy so much, I'm gonna read this book regardless. Okay, question number 5. Which goals did you reach and not reach last year? So again, I did a whole goal reflection video and found out in that video that I did meet all of my goals that I set last year. Not that I had a ton. I'm not a huge goal setter, especially not lofty, unattainable goals. I like to set achievable goals and really set habits for myself. I did that this last year by meeting my Goodreads goal of 52 books. Again, I smashed that out of the water. I also read more sci-fi, which was one of my goals of the last year. And then content-wise, one of my goals was to create more searchable videos, like monthly TBRs, wrap-ups, and book recommendations, which I definitely did do more of in the last year. So met all of my goals. Question number 6 is, are there any new releases you have heard about but have no desire to read? Yes. Mostly fantasy books, just because I'm not a fantasy girly. So like Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo, I know is a huge one coming out this month, but I never read Ninth House, not that interested in the sequel. Also Grady Hendrix' new book coming out this month, I know is so many people's #1 anticipated book release of this whole year. I've only read one Grady Hendrix book and it was only 3 stars for me, so I am not super anticipating reading more of his books unless this one happens to get rave reviews. Then I might try it out, but I'm not going to be buying it right away. Question number 7, what are some reading habits you want to change this year? Honestly, not much. I want to keep doing what I'm doing. I like reading a lot of books every year, but I do think I can learn to balance reading with other things, again, like working out or doing things with my family, like cooking dinners and things like that. I think if anything, I want to learn to balance reading with those things, which might mean reading less, but I do want to continue a lot of my reading habits, including keeping my own TBR very low, continuing to use my library and or audiobook resources to not have to own every single book that I read, and continuing to be creative in how I pick the books that I read, balancing ones that I personally am really excited about with books for videos and creating TBRs in entertaining ways in order to introduce me to books that I wouldn't have picked up otherwise. Those are all reading habits that I am already doing and definitely want to continue because I do think they are helpful. Question number 8, are there any adaptations you're excited about? So I'm not a huge adaptation person. There are books that I've absolutely loved that have been adapted that I just haven't watched. Mostly when they are TV series. I'm just not a TV series type of person. So like Little Fires Everywhere and Behind Her Eyes are 5-star books for me, but I have no interest in watching them as a TV show for some reason. I am much more apt to pick up something if it's going to be a movie, but really the only adaptations I even know are happening in the next year are Daisy Jones and the Six and One True Loves, both by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I think Daisy Jones is a series, so I might watch the first episode and see if I'm interested in continuing it. And One True Loves, I'm not sure if that's going to be a series or a movie. I think it would be a better movie, so if it is a movie, I'm sure I'll check it out. But other than that, I don't really know of any other adaptations that are happening, so definitely let me know if you know of any adaptations coming out, especially movie adaptations, that I should put on my radar and possibly check out when they come out. Question number 9 is favorite bookish memory of last year. I have one standout memory, and that is going down to Virginia to meet my friends Gwen and Jesse in person, and that was such a fun trip. Last year was a really great year for me in growing my friend group and relationships through YouTube anyway, and then to meet some of them in person just is like the most fulfilling thing. I don't have a ton of friends otherwise outside of the internet, so getting that face-to-face interaction fulfilled something in me that I didn't really realize was missing. So that was an amazing memory. I can't wait to see them again in person this year. And I also set a goal for myself to meet 10 booktube friends in person this year, so I will be working to branch out even further, meet some more people in person, because come on, it's hard to beat those in-person memories. And then question number 10 is carryovers from last year that you still plan on finishing. I assume this means books that I started last year and didn't finish. No, I don't have any of those. I never do that. I don't even do that month to month. I don't like to carry over books. So let alone the new year, I definitely didn't have any books that I started and still have to finish. Again, what I'm carrying over from last year is just a lot of my reading habits and my video plans. I have a lot of video series that I started last year that I do plan to continue doing this year. And I just think it's gonna be a really great year of reading and content and making friends and continuing relationships. I'm very excited for all that is to come. Thank you, Jan, for creating this video to allow me to reflect on last year and get excited for this year. Again, any of you watching who have booktube channels, feel free to do this video yourself. If you don't have a channel and want to answer the questions just in the comments, please do so. I would love to chat about your answers. And other than that, I don't have anything else. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.